Hi, I'm Beverly Harzog, host of Your Personal Economy. You can't control inflation or even the price of groceries, but you can control your own personal economy. And I'm going to show you just how to do that because the way you spend your money is the way you spend your life. And I want you to have the best life possible. Thank you for joining us for episode number 10. And I have a special guest for you. I'm happy to introduce Trae Bodge, who is a smart shopping expert. And her website is truetrae.com. And let me spell that for you True, True, and Trae. And Trey, I'll bet people misspell your name a lot. Am I right?
They do, or sometimes they call me Tracy.
People usually get my last name wrong. They usually call me Herzog instead of Harzog. Thanks so much for joining me. And you might even recognize Trey because she's all over the place. I mean, she's a frequent commentator on morning TV, and her advice just shows up everywhere. And so I'm so honored to have her here today.
It's my pleasure to join you.
Thank you. So we're going to divide this into three different sections for you today. We're going to start out talking about saving money on everyday expenses. So, Trey, what tips do you have for us to help people save on things like groceries? Because, groceries are so expensive right now. Some items we've seen come down a little bit, but we've seen others like eggs go up. So I'm wondering if you've got some tips, some secrets you can share for saving on things like groceries and gas.
Sure. So, I feel like I could talk all day about this, so I'll try to whittle it down for your listeners. A couple things here. Wherever you're shopping, if they happen to have a loyalty program, make sure that you join it so you can earn points towards future purchases or free things, get exclusive access to coupons. That's a real basic one. And then also, how you pay is really important. So, make sure that you're paying with the credit card that gives you the best bang for your buck. Some may not give cash back for purchases on food, but some may give you 4% cash back on food. And if you're spending hundreds of dollars a month on groceries, which many of us are, that can really go a long way. I would also say, as you're shopping in the store, be open to your store brands or generics if you're not doing this already. We are, of course, experiencing a lot of shrinkflation where brands are minimizing or reducing the size of the products or the net weight of those products and charging the same price, if not more. And those generics can really help you in that regard. Obviously, it takes a little time to kind of get used to that generic brand or store brand, but often they're made in the same factory. Often the ingredients are exactly the same. So before switching over, it would be good to look at the ingredient listing, make sure there are no unnecessary fillers in that product. But other than that, it should be a comparable product. I would also say try to avoid buying anything prepared, like pre chopped, pre cut. You're paying for that labor essentially. And if you happen to have maybe a kid or a teenager at home, they can help you along those lines. So those are my kind of general overarching topics or tips. And then I do recommend, if you do have a wholesale club membership, use it, especially for those non-perishables. And if you have the space, stock up on those canned items, those pastas, things like that, that will last a long time on your shelf. And that can help you save up to 40% simply if you're buying wholesale.
I'm really glad you brought up the warehouse shopping aspect. Sometimes when I go to those stores, I feel a little bit overwhelmed. Because they're so big, and I'm kind of short, and I feel like Thumbelina in there, like an ant almost, because the shelves are so high. Do you have any tips for how to get yourself organized before you go in there? Do you look at sales online or kinda get your shopping list ready? Does that help when you're, going into a bulk warehouse like that?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Beverly. I mean, when you walk in, sometimes it's just like, oh my gosh, and you see the TVs and couches and lawn chairs and office supplies and all the food. So it can be very overwhelming. I would say if you haven't been to one yet, and you are thinking about signing up, it would be good to go and just kind of walk around and get your lay of the land and maybe not allow yourself to shop that first time if you can help it. Just understand what's there and what the value is. If you have the time to kind of compare prices where you normally shop versus wholesale club, usually you will find that buying wholesale is less expensive. But a couple things to think about, what we talked about non-perishables. You want to be really careful about what you buy wholesale. If you're just buying for yourself or yourself and your partner, for example, you don't want to buy that huge tub of microgreens, for example, because you're going to get through maybe a third of it before it starts to get soft in the middle. So just be really mindful of which kind of perishable items that you buy. If you are buying meats and fish, things like that, be open to freezing them, breaking them up, freezing them. Make sure to put dates on them to make sure that they don't get freezer burned, and then you're at a loss. This is kind of a trap that people fall into when they're buying wholesale as they go in and their eyes start spinning and they want to buy everything. And like I've been there, I understand it, but you want to be really strategic about what you buy. And so those non-perishables are really, really good to buy. But a couple things here on the wholesale front. There are the things that may surprise you that you may not want to buy, especially again if you're only buying for yourself or yourself and your partner. So, for example, olive oil. You may think, "Oh, we use olive oil all the time. I'm going to get that gallon jug." Well, olive oil is not at its freshest after 6 months. So, if you're not going to go through that huge gallon or half gallon, you may want to buy that retail instead, or spices. That huge container of cumin looks really attractive and it looks really inexpensive, but are you going to go through that much cumin? Probably not, unless you're cooking for an army of people. And then, another category I like to kind of give it a warning about it are cleaning products, especially liquid cleaning products. They do tend to lose their efficacy or become less effective after 6 months to a year, depending on the category. So, be careful with that as well. And then skincare would be the last one. You go into a Costco and you find your favorite face cream. It comes in a set of two or three in that container. Think about how long it's going to take you to go through that. If it's over a year, I would say skip it and buy it retail. Sunscreen is another one that tends to degrade over time. So after a year, you may not get that kind of protection that you're looking for. So just be really careful about what you buy wholesale. But if you buy strategically, you can save a lot of money by buying wholesale.
Alright, I love that, buying strategically, and you bring up so many good points about things not remaining fresh after a certain amount of time. I've been wondering, how long does something like red wine vinegar keep?
As far as I understand, red wine vinegar has a long shelf life, so vinegar, I think, is safe. It's just that olive oil is that trickier one. Rice, sometimes brown rice doesn't last as long as you might think, so there is comes some kind of surprise categories that you just wanna be mindful of if you're gonna buy, a 5-pound bag of it.
Alright, great tips. You mentioned credit cards, and I use a cashback credit card when I'm at the store, and I get, a lot of cash back, when I go to grocery stores. I want to be sure everybody checks to see if they've got any exclusions on those credit cards that offer, grocery rewards. Some of them, they kind of exclude warehouse shopping, so you have to be careful with that. And on the other hand, there are some warehouse clubs that have really good credit cards that also offer savings on gas purchases, so something to think about.
That's a great point, and I think that if you've got some credit cards in your wallet and you're really not sure what those credit cards come with, you can simply Google the name of the card and benefits, and a list will come up, and then you can decide, "Oh, okay, I see that gas is excluded here," or, "Wow, this has cash back on this category, and I wasn't aware of that." With my mom, she had several credit cards. I went through and wrote in Sharpie on each one, groceries, gas, everything else, so if you have
I
to do
love
something like
that.
that to stay organized and really take advantage, then that's great. It's interesting in the personal finance community. I find that a lot of times they sort of turn their nose up to credit cards and they say you shouldn't be using them at all. And I disagree. I think as long as you have a healthy relationship with your credit cards and you're paying them off each month, then use them like crazy because there is all this cash back that you can earn. However, if you're carrying debt from month to month, you're kind of negating any benefits you might be getting by carrying that debt. So if you're carrying debt, then opt for your debit cards for a while, and once you pay that balance down, then you can take advantage of those cash back offers and other benefits that your credit cards come with.
I'm so glad you brought that up. It's so important to pay that balance in full every month. And with rewards cards, I make thousands of dollars every year. That helps me go on trips. It helps me get a discount on my groceries. So I use cards strategically. But you have to be able to have a lot of self discipline and not carry balance. That's the way to win with credit cards.
Yeah, and if you are carrying a balance, it's nothing to feel badly about. We've all been there. I've been there myself, but you just have to be really honest with yourself about it. Like I've got credit card debt right now. Let me just stick to my debit card for now and then, take advantage of those benefits later.
Absolutely. When I was young, I got into terrible credit card debt, which kind of led to what I'm doing now.
Right,
Because
exactly.
I decided, I was very passionate about helping other people avoid the mistakes I made with credit cards. So, yeah, so yeah, I agree. Credit card debt is toxic. So, yeah, use your cards as long as you don't carry balance. And if you're in debt, it can happen to anybody. So, I agree. Don't feel bad about that. There are always steps you can take. All right, let's talk about saving with shopping online. I've heard a lot of questions from consumers. They always ask me, should I use a debit card or credit card? I always use a credit card, but I use credit cards for just about everything. But you get more consumer protections with that if you can use a credit card responsibly. But in terms of, browser extensions or, you know, websites that help you compare prices online, what are some secrets you can share about saving money online?
Sure. So browser extensions, I recommend them all day, every day. I think that you should have at least a couple of browser extensions installed when you're shopping because they do the work for you. And so if you're not familiar with browser extensions, essentially by installing one, you're making your computer smarter. And so it will be working for you in the background, looking for available cash back offers or coupons that can be applied to your order, price drops. There are so many different tools out there. One of my favorites in terms of deals and coupons and cash back, I like Coupon Cabin. I like PayPal Honey, Rakuten. There are so many of them, and they're all really beneficial in different ways. PayPal Honey, in particular, I like because it will let you know if something is historically a higher price right now or a lower price. So for me, that's like, oh my gosh, yes, I can say, okay, let me buy this now or let me wait. So that's a feature that I really like on PayPal Honey, where I really like Coupon Cabin because they have a lot of cash back offers and coupons for groceries. And so if you're looking to shop online for groceries, that's one that I use. And so I think it's good to have a couple of them installed in your computer, and you will get pop-ups as you're shopping. If it doesn't drive you crazy, I find it really informative. Like, oh my gosh, yes, I can get 3.5% cash back here, or there's a $20 coupon here. I can then decide which tool to use at that particular time. I also like Google Shopping or Yahoo Shopping. They're comparable in my opinion in terms of doing product research. You can Google the name of the item, or in Yahoo Shopping, you can Yahoo the name of the item. I don't know. Yahoo's not a verb yet, but those tools are very helpful. You can look for an item and it'll tell you where it's being sold and for how much, and you can track prices. You can look for coupons. These are very, very helpful tools as well. So those are some of my favorites. I don't think you don't have to use so many at the same time, but I think a couple of those tools in your back pocket can help you become more of an informed online shopper.
That's great, and, I started using an extension last year, Rakuten,
Mhm.
and, when I first started using it, I was on a website, I was doing some online shopping, and it popped up, and I'm like, "Oh, this is interesting." And I got, like, cashback. It was great, and, I like Sephora, and there's all there's always, some cashback coupons that it tells me about for Sephora. So I end up saving money on purchases I need to make anyway.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they're not gonna guide you to shop to buy other things, which I is what I like. They're not you're not getting, like, push notifications to buy things. You're just getting say like, "Hey, you can save a little bit of money here." So, and always remember if you don't want to install the browser extension, you don't want that working in the background, you could also just search the name of the retailer on a website, a deal site, like a Coupon Cabin, Rakuten, what have you, and that same information will pop up. The one difference is that if you don't have the browser extension installed, once you get to checkout, some of these sites will run the coupons for you, which I find to be very handy, and they'll run multiple coupons for you. So it's a little bit more of a manual process. But if you prefer not to have those browser extensions working in the background, I mean, I have like five, which is a little bit overkill. But I find them to be very safe and secure. I've never had a problem with, losing my data or privacy or anything like that. So I do recommend them and use them myself, but understand if you're not wanting to have that running in the background, you can do it manually.
Yeah, I really got used to it because I can really get used to saving money in a hurry. So so, yeah, it was not a problem for me at all, and in fact, I'm gonna try out some of the browser extensions that you mentioned. PayPal Honey sounds really interesting, where you
Mhm.
can, check on the history of the prices. That really appeals to me.
Absolutely, and you know what's interesting is some of these sites have referral bonuses too, so if you start using one and you really like it, you can once you've signed up, you can get an exclusive referral link, and then if you perhaps, like, share it with a friend or share it on social and someone uses your link to make a purchase, then you can make money. Coupon Cabin has one, you can make $8 every time a shopper uses your unique code, so there's an extra benefit there to using these services and then sharing, all your good news with your friends.
That's a great tip, thank you. All right. Why don't we talk about seasonal sales? Okay. So May is almost upon us, and I'm wondering what should we buy or not buy when it comes to items in the month of May? What's going to be on sale? And I'm thinking about Memorial Day is going to be coming up. We've got those sales. Should we wait for some of that? And then, of course, in the middle is Mother's Day. So, what are your thoughts about all that?
Yeah, so May is a really good month for shopping because it has that sort of cornerstone 3-day weekend of Memorial Day, and 3-day weekends are reliably good for deal seeking. You'll typically see deep discounts on bigger ticket items for the home, like mattresses, appliances, furniture. May is also Maytag month. Maytag has had this promotion that's gone on for years, so that's a good one to look for if you are looking for appliances during the month of May. So if you are looking for to buy a bigger ticket item like that, what I like to do, and we were talking about websites that help you save before, Slick Deals is another one that I really like, and they have a feature called a deal alert, and you can set a deal alert for that specific appliance, for example, that you're looking to buy, and Slick Deals will let you know when that item goes on sale. So I find that to be very handy if I'm looking to make a bigger ticket purchase like a laptop or an appliance. So that's another tool that I like to use. And in terms of what else is on sale in May, you mentioned Mother's Day. We'll see a lot of activity in the sort of gift giving space in prior to Mother's Day, especially jewelry, which isn't on sale very often throughout the year. So this is a really good time to get some jewelry for your mom or for yourself, and so that's a great time to look for deals for in the gifting space. And also, it's coming up to grad season, wedding season. So it can be a good time to take advantage of those sort of Mother's Day ish deals, but for those other gift giving holidays as well. And then you can also expect anything spring is going to be on deep, deep clearance as retailers prepare for the summer season to come up. And so you'll be able to get, maybe some spring apparel that could be helpful in early summer, for example, or early fall. It's a good time to score some deals there too.
Yeah, when it comes to clothes shopping, I always try to get off season. I have enough clothes that I can, like, spread it out and I can wait for the sales, so I can really take advantage of when that season changes. Now, summer's almost here. When it comes to sales and Memorial Day, for instance, is it too soon to get patio furniture or, chairs for your deck? That time of year, is it more like the end of summer? Just wondering, because that could be very expensive?
That's a great question. It obviously it's the time when you're looking to buy things for your patio, and you may see some sales, especially around Memorial Day, because that's typical for Memorial Day to have those bigger ticket items for the home. So you could get a good deal on some patio furniture, but you're not going to get clearance level discounts on patio furniture until probably late August.
Alright, well, that makes sense. And, I get people asking me all the time when mattresses are going on sale, and I know there's usually the white sale in January, but is there something coming up within the next couple of months where people might be able to get a good deal on mattresses? They're so expensive for a good one.
Oh my gosh, they're so expensive. 3-day weekends are really good for mattresses, so I would wait until Memorial Day. And something about mattresses, there are so many direct to consumer companies out there for mattresses, and in many cases, the products are very high quality, but you're not trying that mattress. And
That's right.
so, that to me is a little bit risky. You might receive it and it doesn't work for you. And yes, many of the companies offer refunds, but how on earth are you going to get that mattress back in the box? You know, I have never attempted to try to return a mattress, and I can't imagine that it's very easy. So that's something to think about if you have the time to go to a mattress store and actually lie on the mattress and try it so you know exactly what you're buying. That would be my recommendation, especially because this is such a big purchase.
Yeah, absolutely, and, that's a purchase where you really need to be hands-on. You really need to go to the store, lay down on it, because, it really contributes to a good night's sleep, which is so important just for overall health.
And I would say furniture too, if for your couch, for example, I would not recommend buying a couch online unless you're really familiar with the brand. You should go in the store, sit on that couch. You spend a lot of time on that couch, or at least I do. So you want to make sure that you're testing that out and making sure it's comfortable for you.
Yeah, I got a new sofa last summer, and it took me, like, 2 months of research. But I tend to research things to death, but, I got exactly what I wanted, and it ended up being on sale, so it all worked out. Yeah, sometimes you just have to be a little patient, you can do your research ahead and then be ready when it goes on sale.
Yeah, I did not have that luck when I bought my last couch. It was a few months ago, and I waited and waited and waited for it to go on sale. I kept looking and looking, and no. And I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm paying full price." But of course, I did use my browser extension. I got some cash back. I used my credit card, so I got some points there, but I did not get a sale price.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just use my rewards card so I can get a little back on that. Right. One thing I wanted to ask you about is, last summer, my daughter got married, and I had a dress I was gonna wear, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to wear that. So I bought a dress online, and, I ended up actually I didn't like it as much as the dress I had. Should have gone and tried it on. It should have been a hands-on activity. But, but I didn't have time at that moment. So I got this dress, and it was about 6 weeks later, I was able to return it, and they wouldn't take it back. And so I was wondering if we could talk just a bit about, changing return policies, because I found out that the store that I had got I bought it online, but that retailer had changed their policy from 3 months to 1 month. And so now I'm very aware of return policies whenever I buy anything online or on sale.
This is such an important question because so many retailers are changing their return policies. And so even if it's a retailer that you've purchased from before, you should just take a look at their return policy to get a sense of whether things have changed or not. Where I think gone are the days, except for with a handful of retailers, of sort of the carte blanche return policy. Costco has one. I think it's Nordstrom. I always get Nordstrom and Neiman's confused, but one of them has that kind of open door return policy. But many, many retailers, even those who used to have a lifelong return policy like LL Bean, like they're changing their policy too. So get familiar with that. And also, if you happen to be shopping on social media, which so many of us are, and it's a great way to discover things, but you're buying often from brands that you don't know. And so you might be surprised to learn that they don't have a return policy at all, or if the items are coming from China and you're expected to pay shipping back to China, or that the retailer has a return policy, but that you have to pay for the return postage. And apparently, I heard this recently, 40% of retailers are starting to charge return shipping. And so gone are the days where you can return almost anything you've bought online for no return shipping fee. So be prepared. You might have to pay $4 or maybe it's $12. That tends to be the range. And so then you have to think, is it worth it for me to ship this item back? And I think that it's kind of a wake up call for us, because obviously during COVID, so many of us started shopping online, and many of us who didn't before are doing so, or many of us who did before are doing so much more. We shop very differently, and many of us were doing something called wardrobing or bracketing, where we would buy maybe 5 different sweaters and keep two, and just ship everything else back. We can't expect that anymore. Retailers can't afford to provide that free shipping back for everything, and so they are really clamping down. So it's really important to familiarize yourself with those return policies when you are shopping. And if you're really uncertain about something, we were talking about mattresses and furniture, clothing, if you don't know how something's going to fit, if you're not familiar with the brand and they happen to have a store nearby, just take the time to go and try it on, because you're going to save yourself so much more of a headache by trying to return it later.
Yes, absolutely. I could attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, you know, uh, a bad feeling when you can't return something.
Oh, so frustrating. It's like money in the garbage, and yes, you can donate it or give it to a friend, but it's like that's money that you spent, hard-earned money. So you really wanna be more mindful about how you shop, especially, as I said, because retailers are changing their policies and you might be unpleasantly surprised.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Trey. And again, for listeners or whoever's watching this podcast, she's at TraE.com. And thanks so much for sharing your smart shopping secrets with us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Same here, Beverly. It's always great chatting with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me for episode number 10, Smart Shopping Secrets with shopping expert Trey Bodge. If you'd like to get more of Trey's smart shopping secrets, check out her website, truetrae.com. And remember, Trey is spelled Trae. And also check her out on Instagram. I follow her there, and she does wonderful videos that show you how to save money and give you even more shopping secrets. And she's at True Trey on Instagram. Coming up next, I'm going to talk about credit scores. Do you want to raise your credit score just a little bit? Or how about maybe a lot? I'm going to tell you how to raise your credit score in 30 days. So join me for episode number 11 coming up next.